then he proceeds to tell me the worst story I've ever heard in my life about a cockroach. He was like, yeah, you know, you just want to, like, I don't know, if I were going to sleep on the couch, I'd probably sleep with the blanket over my head. And I was like, what?
Excuse me?
Hi, welcome back to Worn Out and Wired, episode 3, a conversation about everything and nothing all at the same time. I'm Rolby, and this is Jessika. All right, so, yeah, last week we were going to have a podcast, but the little
sicky.
Yeah, little baby girl over here wasn't feeling that good. So I was like, you know what? Even though I didn't want to, miss up.
I didn't want to like force her to freaking do a podcast.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't want to turn that buddy on. But yeah, I didn't want to do it. As in, like, I didn't want to skip it. It was important, health over everything. So yep. She's feeling a little bit better now.
That's how you know. Health over everything.
Health over wealth.
Health over wealth, that's some good stuff.
So today we're gonna be talking about our biggest fears. Just have a little conversation.
Yeah.
Last time, episode 2 was it was pretty long. We talked for like an hour and a half. It was all about
It was for me. I was like, nah, this is too long for me.
Yeah, she was like, I don't think we should do long podcasts, and I was like, man, all the podcasts I listen to.
So comment below. Do you like long podcasts? Yes or no? Because I don't know. Maybe it's the ADHD in me.
Yeah. Whereas me, I like to listen to, like, if it's an hour and a half, I'm happy. Because anything shorter, I kind of get like, I'm like, it's not gonna be enough. Because usually I'm doing stuff when I listen to them, so I want it to be like an ongoing conversation. I want it to be long. I like the long.
I think he wants
I like long boys.
I think he wants our listeners to be like chill like him, but then.
Yeah, you're thinking like, no,
I'm pretty wired.
20 minutes.
20 minutes max. That's where he lost.
Get it done.
So yeah, that's what we've been discussing lately.
Yeah, I think like all the lights on you.
I think
give me some of that.
I think solid. I think a solid like 30-40 minutes is a good time. So comment on how long you think our podcast should be.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Because we don't get many comments. We don't get many comments, so it'd be nice to start getting comments.
It would just be nice to talk to some people.
Yeah, I just want to hear from somebody.
Anyone out there?
So yeah, episode 3. We're going to talk about our biggest fears. But before that, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a roundup of the week. Last week, Jessica got to experience something pretty inspiring, I would say.
Are we talking about the engagement?
No.
Oh.
Well, that was pretty cool. One of her best friends got engaged, and
wait, what's the other thing?
One of her best friends. I'm never telling you.
What are you talking about? Because the engagement wasn't like. No, I wouldn't say it's
inspiring.
No offense to anyone who's getting engaged out there. It's just like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a walk in the park, I would say.
Yeah, you had to do it. You did a lot of work. Basically, her friend got engaged, and she was part of like the whole surprise about it. And I had to do some work. I had to go pick up some stuff with one of her friends. We had to get the champagne, the flowers.
Yeah, he went on a little friend date with my friend, and
yeah.
It was fun.
As soon as we were done, we went to the brewery and we had a beer.
Because I had school that day. I had my doctorate classes, and he wasn't getting engaged on a Sunday, and I had school like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for a good amount of time, probably like at least 8 hours each day. So yeah. I wouldn't have time to like go do stuff, so I made a little list of things for them to do, and I set a reminders list, and I sent it to both of them. I'm a very organized person, so like I'm usually like the leader, and I assign people roles, and it's like if you stray away from your role, that's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did a really good job, and my friend did a really good job too.
Yeah, and the person got engaged did a really good job because she said yes, so it worked out for him.
She had the toughest time, but yeah, it was crazy because my mom was involved in the whole thing, and we had like this whole process because my mom's like, she's a seamstress, so she makes things from scratch, like wedding gowns, all kinds of things, like prom dresses. So it was the couple that's getting engaged, it was their birthday the same week, like a few days apart. So he's like, okay, like we'll come up with a thing where I'm gifting her like this dress. So then we involved my mom in it, and my mom was like,
and because a big part of it was like they don't necessarily go out a lot or whatever, so he was trying to make it a surprise to where she wouldn't figure out that
it was an engagement,
because they had already talked about it or whatever, so they kind of knew that it was coming up. Like she knew that he was gonna do it eventually, and like it was this whole thing. And then we were like, oh, why don't you get a dress made, because you want to get a dress for her, and then she'll have to come and
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, she wouldn't know, and then so basically
it's a custom made dress, and it's like it would be something special.
Yeah.
But my mom is the type to be like, if you don't put on makeup and do your hair and like bring the heels and so you could take a proper picture with the dress, then like don't even bother, having the dress. And she's like a little special in that sense.
she played her role perfect though. So she got her to come. She got the fiance.
Good job, Mom.
to come all dressed up and all ready. And then while she was getting fitted for the last fitting, they like set up everything.
We were like scrambling around, like putting balloons up and stuff.
We'll make sure it's cool for us to post a picture. Maybe we'll throw up the picture. If he's okay.
If he's okay with it. But we put that together in like 2 minutes flat. It was like some freaking
he said it was like a cartoon.
Formula One shit. Where it's like and then
he said it was like a cartoon where you like throw the grenade and then it blows and then everything's set up like a party thing.
Exactly. That's exactly how it was. And then homeboy was like just chilling. Like he got there like super chill, and I also sent him things like, please remember to bring like your clothes and the ring, please. You don't have any other thing to focus on. But so then he showed up, and like we had to like play it nonchalant, like by eating pizza that was like DiGiorno's and stuff like that. And then they came in, like the couple came in, and my friend was already there to help me out, like set up everything, and a few of my other family members, and we were all just like eating pizza, like, oh, you guys want a slice? Yeah, whatever. She went into the room, and as soon as she went into the room, we're like sprinting, and then the homeboy is over here like, I want a pizza, and I'm like, hello, you're about to get freaking engaged, like, can you not, please? And then he's like, okay, fine, I'll put the pizza down.
That's funny. I wasn't there, I was working, so I didn't have to play a part. After we went to dinner, and that was nice. But what a fun time.
We ate a big bowl of
pesto pasta. That was delicious.
Big bowl.
It was a big boy. It was like this big. And I just kept eating it, and then I finished it, and I wasn't even that full.
Yeah, and I've been having like some stomach issues. That's why I've been sicky, because I'm stressed out from boards.
Yeah, you have a board coming up, board exam, which is intense.
So I haven't been able to like eat out a lot, and it's so sad. Yeah,
it's been nice though. We've been eating very healthy.
I've been cooking a lot.
But all right, so that was that. That was one thing, the engagement, blah blah blah. And then at school, you had a professor that came in, and just a quick story about that, if you could please, about the.
Oh, of course.
Because I think when you told me about it, I was like, what? That's like a normal thing or what? So.
So the whole doctorate seminar weekend that we had our didactic courses this past time, the professor that was teaching, he's out in New Mexico, so they get these specific speakers of like specific specialties within Chinese medicine, and they come out and they do like a whole seminar like for the whole weekend, and they teach specifically on like a subsection of Chinese medicine. So his specialty is neuroacupuncture, which is a lot to deal with like scalp points and other body points as well, but mainly scalp points. Yeah. And
neuro as in brain, right?
Neuro, yes.
Yeah, I'm smart.
Good job, buddy. Good job. So when he came in, he had some patients come in that he treats here. He has a lot of patients. So he had seen some patients here, and then there was one patient that had never seen him, and he had Parkinson's, and he had been in a wheelchair for a long period of time, like years, without the ability to walk by himself. So then he did some needles on the scalp, just like a few, and then homeboy just started getting up and walking around and like zoomed out of there. We were all like
Yeah, you said it was pretty emotional.
Everyone in the room started to cry, all of my colleagues, because they've never seen such a fast turnaround rate for someone who hasn't, been able to have motor skills.
Yeah, anyone in like a wheelchair, you see them get up. And then on top of that, you said his wife was watching, and his wife, like, they slow danced and stuff.
They did slow dance. It was such an emotional time. But then he, like, got up and, like, started, going out into the hall, and, like, he just ran laps probably around the school and stuff, and we're like, where did he go? He up and left. Like, you just see a wheelchair by itself, and then, like,
That's so
some
funny.
people came back into the room, and they're like, wait, where did he go? And it's like, he's gone. He's out. So it was
he had places to go.
He had things to do.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. And then you had watched a documentary that the professor actually had made where he talked more about that kind of stuff. And I was doing some other things while I was watching it with you a bit, and it was really interesting. I thought it was a really inspiring story.
We'll post the name of the
documentary
so
people can watch it if they're interested.
It is amazing, and he also has a book out on scalp acupuncture. Cool. And he's in New Mexico, but I'm probably gonna end up doing his certification. He has a few certifications for scalp acupuncture, and
so cool.
It was very inspiring.
Yeah, that was such an when you told me that, I was like,
I cried.
Yeah, I bet.
I bawled hysterically.
I'm emotional. I watched Free Willy and I cried as a kid, so I'll cry.
I'll cry with anything.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I ain't scared of crying.
I've cried. The other day I was watching like those videos of that musician.
Oh, we were talking about that in the school one. Yeah, you cried. You were just I get emotional when I watch like people, like when they're like the airport pianos and they just like playing and it's like a really good pianist, and then someone else is like
that's a dude.
Out there and,
that's a dude.
Yeah. Well, there's a few of them, but I know those videos are anything with music gets me.
And then when people like play together, like an instrument and then another instrument.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
It hits me in the feels.
Yeah, I love music.
The feels.
All right, well, let's get right into it though. So one of the topic for today was biggest fears, and it was funny because like I wrote a couple, and then on theme, Jessica writes, 20. And then
no, but at first.
At first you wrote like 4, and you're like.
No, tell them what I said at first.
I don't remember.
Baby, come on.
I don't remember what. Oh, you're like, how are we gonna talk about that for whatever?
For how long? Because I don't have any fears.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she was like, I don't have any fears. I don't fear anything. And I'm thinking in my head like, dude, I can name like 4 or 5 things you're afraid of right now. That's
but it's not even like traditional fears.
No.
I'd say they're.
Well, no, but then you started actually.
But they're mainly clinical, like medical related fears.
As soon as you started writing, I was like, that is all under the same subsection, and you have like, we'll get into that. But I thought it was hilarious because like at first you're like, I don't have any fears. I'm not afraid of nothing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
I'll beat anyone up.
But yeah, so I'll go first with one of my biggest fears, which is open water.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's one of mine.
Yeah, I feel like
Yep, open water.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so like it's crazy. I don't like the feeling of not knowing what's underneath me, like water wise. So the first time on my 21st birthday,
animal wise, or
like oh my god, like I remember being at the beach one time and I saw like a stingray or a manta ray. I think it's a stingray because I think they're smaller. I think manta rays are huge. But
I don't know too much about that.
I saw one and it was really amazing because the water was clear, but I kept thinking like. It just freaked me out that day. I remember being like, damn, what else is there? What else is around us?
What else is lurking?
Yeah, so, but yeah, open water is a big thing. On my 21st birthday, I went surfing for the first time, and it was in the morning. I was hungover, and we went surfing, and I remember I could barely sit up on the board because it was a short board, and the whole time, with my little feetsies dangling, I was so freaked out because you have to go pretty far out.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, and like my friend's so used to, he's been surfing like for years and years, and he was just like, like you don't have to worry about anything.
I just remembered like
what?
A story, but finish yours.
Yeah. So then I got bit by a shark that day. And no, but yeah, it just freaked me out. And I've always been like that.
He didn't get bit by a shark. Just letting you know, that's just his sarcasm. Some people are gonna take it seriously, like my friend.
I was just walking my dog. No, but yeah. So that's like a huge fear of mine, like water, in general, like big bodies of water. Like we were talking about going on a cruise, and I was like, I don't know why that just freaks me out. Like it scares me. Like being on the water, being like secluded out in the ocean.
Like that poor guy that he like did the dare. And he ended up like getting lost. out in sea.
There's a story about that just happened not too long ago.
Yeah, like a few months ago.
He was on a cruise and he was probably drunk. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they're all drinking because like it's like you do on cruises.
They were all 18, so I don't know.
Oh, maybe not. Then I don't know.
I think they were all 18.
Yeah, my friend said that they were drunk, so maybe he was lying. Maybe my friend's a freaking liar. My friend's a pathetic loser is what he is. Not joking. Yeah. So his friends dared this guy. This guy was on a cruise. This kid and his friends dared him to jump off, like to dive. I guess I don't know.
I think they recorded part of it.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
Off.
I don't know. We're gonna have to do some research after this because I haven't even looked it up. I just remember I heard about it and it freaked me out. And then
imagine like just being lost at sea, just like
they couldn't find him after that.
Like it ends.
Oh, that's
or
scary.
like people that come from Cuba, like oh my gosh.
Yeah, actually, I watched a movie and I believe it is called Open Water, and it's where they go scuba diving and like the people leave somehow, and then they're just at sea, and it's like it was like my biggest fear just in a whole movie because then they start getting attacked by sharks.
Or like the whole submarine thing that happened recently with the Titanic.
Yeah, I mean that just freaks me out. Being underwater and not being able to control it, like I'm okay. I'll stay to the shore.
And that triggers another fear of mine, which I'll talk about later, which is claustrophobia.
Oh yeah,
that's like the two combination. Yeah, it's like open water and claustrophobia. God, together.
That would be so scary. I'm good on that.
And then you're like trapped in there, like you're drilled into there. Nah, babe, you can't pay me enough. What was the total that they had to pay? $500,000 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yo, I mean, at this point, pay me $1 million to go and do that.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation with your family about like, what if they paid you to do it? Would you do it? And we were just like, no, I'm good. Oh, we're good.
No, I'm okay.
Like anything I can't control, it freaks me out. Like that's why I love skateboarding and BMX because like I control it. I know my limits.
Like roller coasters.
I love roller coasters though.
Nah, actually, I forgot to put that on there.
Yeah, you don't like roller coasters.
I don't like roller coasters.
You know what I don't like? Carnival rides. Carnival rides.
But those are sketchier because it's like
there was a point
they have to pack them up and like
Yeah, and you're just relying on like regular workers.
Like, is there regulations for that stuff?
I don't even know. I don't know. We should have done our homework because I mean I don't even have that written down. But carnival rides freak me out because like they just feel rickety. They sound rickety, and then you're thinking like they keep traveling. They're setting them up.
You know what video I'm thinking about?
What?
That one Mexican carnival thing that's just like the guy dressed up as like a weird nun, and he's like. He looks like a devil, and then he's just like staring at the freaking camera, and then he's standing still, but the thing is spinning around him.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, my sister, you know that stuff is hilarious, but I have to show you that meme now.
Damn. Okay.
But okay, so back to the open water thing.
Yeah, you said you had a story.
Okay, my friend. Starts with the letter M. You know who you are. They took me on because they're like such a water person. They're like a Pisces. They're like all water signs, everything. Even in Chinese medicine, they're a water element. So this she's like, oh yeah, we should go snorkeling. And I'm like, oh, that sounds lovely. Why not? Let's just like
let's go tickle some fish.
She literally lives right across the street from the ocean, so she's there all the freaking time. Her dog loves it. Like everyone in her life loves it. Yeah. So we go, and I have been snorkeling maybe once, and one time was like a field trip, and I was a supervisor of kids in the field trip. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had to put my big girl pants on and like do it. But also we had like a boat, and the reef was like right there, No, this my friend, she's like, oh yeah, let's like start swimming out. So then we're swimming, and we like she gave me some flipper, I think she gave me. I don't know. I don't even remember. It was so traumatic that I don't even freaking remember. So I'm assuming, because I don't know how the flip I got that far out. Next thing you know, I look back and like the shore is so far, and she's like, it's just a little further up, and I start going into like a panic. I have a whole panic attack in the middle of the freaking ocean because I'm like, there's nothing under me. It's just like, it freaked me out.
Unfortunately, I would have been exactly the same.
And there was like a lot of waves. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna suffocate. I'm gonna drown. Like, I just went into a full panic mode. And she's just like gone. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna go back and whatever. She's like, oh, it's just like right here. So then like, I just went and I saw it a little bit. And then it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it was like 10 feet under to get to it.
Yeah, so you
and
gotta
bitch was like down there, and I'm like, we're so far from the shore. And
and you're not used to it, so it's not like you're like...
No, but she's so used to it. Yeah. So in comparison, I was like, wow, I'm a little bitch. So yeah, that's my little story.
Yeah, I didn't know you went snorkeling. I've never been snorkeling. I've always wanted to go, but I'm like, again, I'm scared. Like
Don't go with this chick.
I could do it where we're on a boat and then jumping off. I think at this point in my life, like, I'd be okay with it. You know what I mean? When I was younger.
Yeah, because the boat is right there.
Yeah, you can just hop back on the boat, and then you're, like, standing on something, and you're good. But, like, if just being out there, I'd feel the same way. Because I remember when I went surfing that day, it was crazy. It was, like, really choppy, and the waves sucked. But I remember I was just so tired. I was hungover. It was super early in the morning. I was 21, so I wasn't even, like...
don't get me wrong. I'll freaking survive if I have to. Like I'm kicking. That big.
I'll keep kicking for sure. But it's still scary. I don't like if I don't know what's under me and I can't see it and the water's not clear. I don't like it. I
just look back and I just remember I'm like, I'm never gonna make it back. Make it back.
I think, and especially because I had a friend who had gotten his pilot's license and he would fly over Fort Lauderdale Beach a lot. And he said, like, oh, the sharks are always out there. There's always sharks. They're pretty close to the people. Like, they don't bother you.
It's true.
But, I mean, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I like to swim out. And if there's a sandbar, I like going out. But there's a part of me that, like...
That's like, I'm scared. They're always there.
And for me, with fears, like, I like to face my fears. I like to do it. And I like the thrill of it. But I still know I'm afraid. Like, I'm still afraid. I'm still shitting bricks.
Like, Rolby's the type to be like, oh, yeah, I'll go skate and stuff and whatever, do all these gnarly tricks. And then he's like, he gets in water and he kind of...
Yeah, well, I love the ocean. I love going to the beach. But, like, I do get weird. I get weirded out.
It's their territory, so, you know?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's not my...
You're in God's hands at that point.
Yeah. Which one of your biggest fears, ma'am?
Getting engaged.
Is that really on there?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? That's crazy.
It's because I had made a note of, like, my friend's engagement.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, I guess I'm afraid of getting engaged.
All right, what is it?
So one of them was the open water.
What's the first one on there, though? I can't read it.
Failing boards.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's very topical.
It's very deep and personal to me.
Yeah, I can tell. Got real heavy in here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
My head's spinning. What's happening?
Yeah, well, you have 4 national boards you have to take. You're 2 down. You have 2 more to go. And, like, everyone you've talked to just passed them. They're just like, oh, you're doing that now? Like, yeah, I feel for you. Like,
I know. But you know what pisses me off? When people, like, don't feel for me. And, like, they don't understand. They're just like... Yeah, it's just like a whatever, like a certification, right? Like, just like you just do acupuncture, just like a few hours.
No, it's a serious thing.
Freaking think about like 5 years just in Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
Then I've already done 2 boards, so I know I can pass it. But there was this one time where like I went into the board. And
oh my god,
it was a horrible experience. I went into the board and you go into like this whole testing center and they pat you down like you're going into jail. So after like the whole 30 minutes of like signing your life away and checking your pockets and like opening your mouth up and then, you know, I'm just kidding. Checking all the cavities. By the way, they don't do that. So you get into this room and then like there's chairs everywhere, but it's surrounding I guess like enveloping the walls.
Okay. Surrounding the wall.
Does that sound weird?
I don't know what you're trying to say, so I'm
okay, whatever.
Go
and get it. The freaking things are against the wall, so you're like kind of staring at the wall. Everyone's staring at the wall, so there's like.
But yeah, you go to take the test.
But there's little cubbies that you like you're separated, and then overall there's this like Am I allowed to talk about this?
I don't even know. That's all I'm saying.
Like, whatever. So there's a glass that's like on one side of the wall, and then all three other like walls have cubbies with computers and individual computers.
And behind the glass, someone's like watching.
And behind
you.
the glass, someone's like just staring you down.
Yeah,
just
making sure that you're not cheating
like,
or
not
anything.
cheating and stuff. It's some legit stuff, which is good because it's like, okay, that's how you know that we have like good licensed practitioners. So
yeah,
it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it freaking sucks. But when you get in there, you have to like stop at a specific point, and then they're like, wait here until I set you up in the system. So then you go in there, and then like whatever, they log you in, and then you sit down, and then you have like a whole liability thing that you have to like read through, and you have 5 minutes to read through it. And the proctor was like, oh, you can take this time to like write down your notes. So
yeah,
I'm like,
get prepared,
okay, whatever.
Set yourself up.
They give you like these like little planner sheets that you can write all over, but they keep it. So you kind of have to like, from the back of your mind, recall everything that you want to write down so you can use it in the test.
Yeah.
So I'm like over here writing it down. I have like 30 seconds left to read the liability thing. So then I read the liability thing, and I'm about to like click a little accept button at the freaking bottom, and then it like times me out, and then I'm like, okay, what's happening? I call over the proctor, and he's like, oh, you're done with your test. And I'm like, no, I just sat down.
I didn't even take it.
I didn't even like see question 1. So they're like, oh, okay, like let's figure it out. So I leave the testing center room, and then they're like, oh yeah, like you lost the test, you lost the money and whatever. And I'm like, I just lost $330. Are you freaking kidding me? And then like I can't like test.
You can't take it. You have to wait.
Yeah. So then I was
a period
like,
of time
what?
before you can take it again. How long was it? Like a month?
Yeah, around there. And then they like, I called like my national board examination people and also the testing center, and they both could not deal with anything.
Yeah,
and then my dean of the
they
school even like called them and
tried to help you
out. It was
out.
Like a whole thing, and I never got that money back, and I just like I lost that money, and
that sucks, man. I remember that you were so upset because you were so ready to take it. You had prepared for however long. You were like, all right, let's go, and then it was like a whole thing.
I didn't even get to see the questions. I would have rather paid that money and seen the freaking questions.
Yeah.
So far, I've only taken 2 boards. That third one, I didn't really get to take it.
Yeah.
And
so that's what you're taking in a week or two.
That's what I'm coming back for vengeance in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a little traumatic to like retake it. So yeah.
So my next fear, it has to do with like what kind of what you were saying, where I'm afraid of heights, right? Like when I get on a big balcony, or if I'm like doing something up high, I get freaked out. I get a little bit of vertigo. I get a little weird, right? But since I like to like kind of challenge my fears a lot, and that's part of like my personality, I skateboard and I ride BMX, and like with the BMX bike, I mean, I am doing big jumps, but I don't really face it as much as when I was a skateboarder, because like I would go up big quarter pipes and ollie, and I'd be like 3 feet over the like I'm getting big air. I'm like doing things where I'm like, if I was able to pause time and stop and look down while I was doing it, I'd be so freaked out. I'd be like shaking, but the adrenaline's pumping. I'm just doing it. So like, it's really funny to be afraid of heights, but at the same time, like my whole life I've loved like climbing trees. I like climbing on like rocks. Like I loved hiking and like looking over really big areas, but it's almost because it like tickles my like my adrenaline. Like it tickles my like my thrill seeking.
Yeah, about that. I don't have that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a thrill seeker by going to school forever.
Yeah, so when I do roller coasters, it freaks me out. Like I hate that feeling when your stomach kind of goes up when you're about to do a big drop. You know, usually a roller coaster goes up and up and up, and then it just drops you. I
should post the picture of when I went on a roller coaster. If I find that, I'll post that right now.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because it's hilarious.
I would love to see on a roller coaster, but
it's hilarious. I went on like Mount Everest.
Nice.
Which I was like, okay, because the thing is that my parents instilled the fear in me like when I was younger, and I legit would pee myself like on the freaking ride because I was so fearful of them. And my mom would be like lie to me and be like, oh no, this is like a whatever ride, get on it. It was like an intense ass ride, and I'm like, dude, what?
It's really funny because we did that to my mom too. Like, she hates like that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, that pisses me off.
And we were kind of like, no, it's not that bad. And then we made her go on a roller coaster, and then when she got off, we had to get like a wheelchair because like she was just shaking, and she was like, oh, and we never did it again because we felt bad.
That's
but like
so
we were like, no,
up,
come on, you gotta. We're like, it's fine. We're having so much fun. You gotta face. No, yeah, she hated it. It was it was a little funny.
So I like recently, a few years ago, I went back to Disney and like all the different parks with a friend of mine and her family. So I'm like, okay, Jessica, like this is the time to really consolidate your freaking fears and stuff like that and get on them. And I got on every single roller coaster, and Mount Everest was like kind of the one that I was like the most scared of, which to a lot of people, they're like, oh, that's nothing. But to me, it was a big deal, okay? So
Mount Everest? It's called Mount Everest?
It was like...
Not Splash Mountain.
It was Everest. I think it's Everest, sorry.
Oh,
I think it's just called Everest.
Okay.
But, yeah, that shit freaking goes backwards and stuff. And then there's like a big drop at one point, and that big drop is when they take the freaking picture. Hilarious, because I was in the front row.
Oh my god.
Like the front row.
See, I love it. I love going on roller coasters.
You can't pay me enough.
I remember when we went, there was like this local go-karting place around here that they closed down, and it was like really famous, and they had a wooden roller coaster, and I think it was like one out of 5 in like the South or something. I forget what it was, but
it's kind of like getting in, like, you know what, I'd rather get in a roller coaster than someone who drives recklessly.
Well, that's different
because I can't
your
control
life is
that,
in their
and
hands.
yeah,
At least
and
you know, roller
not,
coaster, like they've tested
exactly.
it.
There's
and stuff.
Engineers, like there's,
and if something happens, you get a big payout at least. Well, hopefully,
you know, hopefully, you get that moolah.
Unless you're just like flying off the end of it.
But yeah, I'd rather be in a roller coaster than someone who's driving recklessly, because that's like a big no.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. No.
Yeah.
I'd rather drive.
We know that. But yeah, so heights. I'm actually afraid of heights, which is kind of funny. So that's my second fear for sure. What's your next one?
Bugs in orifices.
Well, it says bugs, especially in orifices.
Especially in orifices. Yeah, I don't like bugs. I just like...
Oh, I have a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's about bugs in orifices.
Oh, I don't like these!
Okay, so, oh my god, it freaked me out.
Let me just prepare mentally. Okay.
And it's like the worst kind of bug. Because
I know too much.
I know, I don't like
I know too much about, like, medical stuff.
Yeah, I don't like bugs, but especially roaches, right? So first,
I don't like that.
I have 2 stories. One's really funny. We were all hanging out at my friend's house, and it was like 5 of us. We're watching a movie, we're hanging out, eating food, and then all of a sudden, there's this giant roach on her wall, right? And she had like Raid spray, and so she probably dealt with roaches before, because she had that shit like right next to her. She's like, "Oh, but you gotta get it." They all left the room, and they left me and my friend to like get it.
Oh no.
And I remember it was like on the wall, and I was like, all right, we got this, man. And that thing was like this big. If you don't know, they call them palmetto bugs down here. They're disgusting. And I go to spray it, and it starts flying. Starts flapping its little wings, coming right at my face, and me and my friend are just screaming, and I'm spraying it, and the force of the spray is pushing it back, and it's just going and going, like trying to get us, and I'm just like,
oh, poor bugs. Like, I feel bad for them.
I know.
Oh, okay.
No cockroach. I'll pick up a. Nah, I don't really.
Like, I don't want to kill them.
Yeah, of course. You know, because.
But like, I don't know. It's just like, I just don't want them in my spaces.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fear of mine. Like,
she doesn't want to kill him. She wants me to kill him.
Like,
last time you're like, kill that bug, and I had to
but
do.
I don't know what it was, and it was in the shower, and like, I just don't like when they show up like randomly. I just don't even want to look at it. Like, I'm just whatever you gotta do.
Which I think is a common fear. A lot of people don't like bugs. A lot of people are afraid of bugs, and I don't blame them. Like, spiders and stuff freak me out. They freak me out less now for some reason. Like, I'm less afraid of spiders. I'm okay with like killing them.
I'm like,
but I'm not gonna try to catch them. You know what I mean? Like, some people will like catch the spider and be like, I'm gonna let it outside. I'm like, I'll just smash it. I'm okay. I'll just smash it. I'm good. But okay, second story. Terrible story.
Oh my god.
Terrible story.
I don't like these.
So we went up to Gainesville for this thing called the Fest. It's a big festival. Bunch of bands play. They open up the whole. It's like a big block party type thing. There's hundreds of people. It's gotten really big. We went up there for the Fest, and we were sleeping at a friend's house. In fact, we didn't have a place to sleep that night. We were all just gonna sleep in like our cars or just find a place to crash. And someone we knew from high school that lived up there was like, "Oh, you guys can crash at our house. Like, it's fine." And I was like, "Awesome!" Everything was working out great. We were drinking, having a good time. We're all like cozied up on the couches, like getting ready to go to bed. And the dude who lives there was like, "Oh yeah, like, you know, if you see a bug, just kill it, you know, because we do have like some roaches."
Oh no.
So right before bed, he's telling me that they have roaches, and I'm like, oh god, you know, because like in Gainesville, a lot of the houses are super old. They're like, you know, historic houses or whatever. So like, it's a whole different world up there. It's like. Then he proceeds to tell me the worst story I've ever heard in my life about a cockroach. He was like, "Yeah, you know, you just want to like." I don't know, if I were gonna sleep on the couch, I'd probably sleep with the blanket over my head. And I was like, what?
Excuse me?
I was like, no, like, why? And he's like, well, we had like an incident or whatever. And I was like, what kind of incident? What are you talking about?
What?
And he told us, and I don't remember who it happened to, because I would call them by name, but a cockroach had crawled in one of his friend's ears and was in his ear, right? And he woke up freaking out, and he's like, I feel something in my ear, I feel something in my ear. And they were like, dude, it's fine, you're probably fine, right? So he was like, no, you need to check it. So they checked it with like a flashlight, which is probably like cell phone flashlight, and they saw the cockroach. There was literally a cockroach just sitting there just like...
being like, oh damn, I thought this was a good spot.
So he was like, get it out. So they grabbed tweezers, right? They grabbed the cockroach, they finally got it, accidentally pulled its head off. So now he has a dead cockroach in his ear. And he's freaking out, and like when he told me that, he's telling us the story so nonchalantly and just kind of like giggling about it, being like, yeah, it was crazy, man. I was like, what happened to him? Dude ended up going to the hospital, getting it out, you know, properly, but I was like, I slept in the car. After that, I was like, I'm good, man. I'm out. I went in the car, and it was like it was during winter, so it was like kind of nice out. But we were just like, me and my friend just slept in the car, and like the other dude who lived in Gainesville, he lived up there, so he was like, I'm not worried about it.
You see, that's the fear in orifices.
Break everything. Yeah. And I'm sure we've all seen the videos like online of like something in someone's ear, like it gets stuck, and like, oh, it's terrible.
I'm sure that's everyone's fear, but.
But when he told me that story, though, I freaked out. Like, you know, I was drunk, and I was just like...
Nah!
Yeah, I'm out.
You can't pay me.
I was like, I'm going in the car, guys. Slept in the car with all my friends. Woke up disgusting, super sweaty, feeling like
gosh.
crap. But I was like...
But no cockroaches.
No bug in my ear.
Damn. I mean, we took a trip recently up north and...
Yeah, North Carolina.
Yeah, and we stayed, like, with a friend of ours, and...
there's a cockroach, like... Jessica heard the sound of it.
We were going to sleep, and then I'm like,
I hear something.
That sound?
She literally heard like the faintest sound.
I have the best hearing
when it comes to
night.
bugs.
Like,
yeah, a little
best hearing.
A little flap of a wing, and she was like, "What's that sound?" And I was like, "It's nothing. Don't worry about it." And then I made the mistake of, or I don't know.
I turn on the flashlight on my phone, and I faced it up, and that bitch
there's just a cockroach,
like
just
this big.
A huge cockroach just on the ceiling, and
it flew too.
Yeah, it was flying around on the top, just doing things, and then we never even got it. It got to the point.
And it was so cold too.
Yeah, so
I was like almost butt ass naked.
Yeah, you were just standing there like this, shaking with a flip flop, a little chancleta.
I was like, I'm gonna get it. I can't go to sleep.
And then we didn't get it. It ended up just crawling into the closet, and we realized there was a little, like the closet was a little bit open. We closed the door and we're like,
whatever.
Like, I think we're safe. And then we didn't hear it or see it the rest of the time. So it went back into...
and it was right after I had taken boards, so I was like, done.
Yeah,
I had just taken a board exam the day before, and we got there the day after my board, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
This is the wrong day to mess with me.
And we were out in the boonies, like I was just trying to find like, okay, well, let's get a hotel. You couldn't even get an Uber. You couldn't find a hotel within anywhere, and all the hotels had worse like
reviews.
Yeah, they all had like bug reviews, or like all this place is infested with roaches, because it's like more of like a country area, so they're just used to the bugs. They're like, whatever, like giant spiders, cockroaches, whatever. They live amongst them.
I'm a city girl. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So my next fear is I used to be afraid of the dark, and like I still kind of am, but not as much. But so until I was about like 11, I slept with a nightlight. Like,
Aw.
yeah, I used to.
That's cute.
My whole life, I had a little nightlight.
I also had a nightlight too.
Yeah, I would always have it plugged in. I had to have it on. We used to live in like a really big house when I was from like
Same.
9 to 11, or maybe 12, and I would always like my only chore growing up really was to get the garbages out of the bathrooms, and my house was pretty big, and it was just like at one point it was just the three of us, my mom, my dad, and me, and I think my sister was at college at the time, and I would have to go into like these dark rooms and get the garbages, and like even though
like
it's
those one sketchy rooms that like everyone collects everything in, and
not
you don't
even
know
no
what-
like it'd be like my parents' bedroom and their master bathroom, which was like huge at the time, but at the same time like they would always be in like the living room watching TV, and I would have to go in there, and even if I went in and turned on the light, like the way the light switches were worked is you couldn't have the light on. Like one of the light switches was all the way in the end of the room. It wasn't at the door. It made no sense.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
So-
Sometimes that's happened.
Yeah, so you
know?
gotta like walk into a dark room, and then you gotta like turn on the light, and then I would feel kind of okay, but I just used to always be afraid of like everything, like anything that I just used to be like afraid of like ghosts and stuff. So I remember going and like picking up the garbages, and I would always run out of every dark room I ever had to go in.
But I
Like
think that's like every kid.
Yeah, when
Or
you're-
like you're going up the stairs and it's like, no,
yeah, like
don't.
there's yeah, exactly. I always felt like there was something behind me. I always felt like there was something watching me.
But I think that's like a normal thing that everyone
For
kind of
sure.
experiences. I've actually tried to challenge myself to be okay in the darkness. I'm like, I see it as a challenge because
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
be able to like see better at night and stuff.
Yeah,
Because as you get older, you know,
Mhm.
your vitamin A deficiency starts to kick in, and then you don't see at night.
No, yeah, I kind of did the same thing too, because like once I got older, it kind of went away. But
The
I was
glaucoma hits.
it kind of went away to where like as I got older, I was okay with it. You know, I wasn't as like freaked out. I wouldn't run out of rooms, because like even when I was like in my teens, I would still like be freaked out like in certain areas, or if I was at a dark room. Oh, like I used to be when I'd lay in bed, I would always have all my like my arms and legs would be in. If I had my leg like my toes out or something, I always felt like something was gonna
Someone
grab
was
me.
gonna grab you.
Oh my god! Even with my TV on, even with the nightlight on, I would freak out.
You guys remember that one show when we were younger in like the 90s that's like, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
that would get me.
I used to watch that in bed, like freaked out, being like, and then I would literally have the blanket like covered.
You
Like
see, I wouldn't watch it at night.
I would watch it right when I was going to bed, like with the covers always
you
covered.
dumb.
I know the only thing you could see was my face, because I felt like if I was covered that I was okay. So I would
Yeah.
sit there and be like sweating just because I'm like, I'm not getting out of these covers. I'm not getting out. And then I would always like face it. Like I was freaked out a lot.
That's funny.
But I did challenge. That's funny that you say that though, because I did challenge myself one time, and like because I used to go skate really late at night, and this was like when I was in my 20s and stuff. I would go skate like 2-3 in the morning, because my ex at the time, she worked as like a bar waitress or something at like some piano bar, and then she was a bartender after that. So she would get out at 4 in the morning, like sometimes like 5, and I would go and pick her up. And it was the best time to go skate because there's no one out. There's no securities. There's no anything. There's no cars. Like it was really fun, and it was very peaceful. You're in the middle of the night and you get to just skate the city like it's like your own like little playground. But sometimes I would have my friend come with me, and like I didn't feel it then. But when I was alone, I would just be so like I had to like really like face it because I was like freaked out. And then it got to a point where I was like, I didn't want to go. Like, and then I realized I'm like, you know what? This is dumb. Like I shouldn't be so scared of like obviously there's dangerous things out there and there's like dangerous people, but I was like, I should not be so scared. Like I should feel free. I've done it a few times. I've done it like 20 times and nothing's happened. I should just feel okay. Plus I have a skateboard. I'll just freaking whack somebody. I'll whack a ghost. But anyway, so I had to
I think that's what's scary about ghosts. It's like
you can't do anything.
you can't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't pay attention. So I'm just like,
yeah, that's kind of like the more ignorant you are to it, like the better it feels. And like I have a
I'm just too busy.
I don't have a ghost story, but I have a crazy
I'm too
story
busy.
to talk about later. I got lots of stories in this one.
Clearly.
I'm a storyteller.
Clearly, the water element with the fear.
No one knows what that means. Go ahead.
You'll find out in the future.
Yeah, we're gonna have an episode about some more Chinese
but-
medicine stuff.
But like the darkness ordeal. There's this retreat that I want to do at some point.
Oh yeah,
which
you were
is
talking
like
about that.
you're just in the dark for a few days, like 3 days straight of just darkness, and then they like pull you out of it in like a gentle way with like a view of like mountains and stuff. So then you become like really grateful for your sight.
Yeah.
And then you know, like you kind of
your sight is probably improved after too, because like you didn't use it for so long, and then you like see it's like I feel like things would be so vivid.
I would have to look into that.
Yeah, I feel like things would be so vivid, like colors, like you would
Well,
just
yeah, like
you appreciate
you would have
them.
a better appreciation, but I don't know in the sense of like the motor skill of seeing. I don't know if it would improve.
It gets worse. You come back out, you're just like bumping into things all the time. And like, I should have never done this retreat.
No, but I think what's really interesting is that because it's complete darkness, you kind of have to like sit with your own darkness. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, you have nothing.
Some deep stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine. What do you do for fun? You're just like
you I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much, but I know I want to do it at some point as a challenge. Yeah. Because I'm like all about like challenging myself.
Yeah, that's cool though. That sounds interesting as hell. So what's your next fear?
The claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia.
So I have 2 things to like talk about that made me think about it. One time we were like stuck in an elevator, like 5 or 6 of us, and that's where you like really, in Chinese medicine, I talk about it all the time, you have like different personalities, 5 different personalities: earth, water, metal, wood, and fire. And all of our colleagues, like we were coming out of the doctorate and onto this like parking garage elevator, and it got stuck, and it just kept like going up and down, like,
oh my gosh.
So it felt like it was gonna fall, but we were on the first floor, but there's still like a hot minute of a,
yeah, it's still scary,
yeah, of like a dip from the first floor. So So we were all stuck in there, and then I told this chick, I was like, because I was the first one to notice, because I'm the first one to like pick up on things, like I'm really quick
yeah, you
about
got street
things.
smarts.
I'm very street smart. So I'm like, we're stuck, and then she's like, like everyone's joking around, blah blah blah, like in their own little conversations, expecting it to go up, and I look at this other chick and I'm like, we're stuck, and she's like, oh, stop joking. And I'm like, I wouldn't joke about stuff like that, like don't mess with me. So she's like, what do you mean we're stuck? And I'm like, we're freaking stuck. So we were like, so then some people start like, you know, everyone's like, okay, like whatever, it'll be fine. After a hot minute, like you really start to see like the progression of each one's personality and like how imbalanced they become, because it's such a stressful, like pressured.
Everyone starts cracking at a certain point.
But eventually everyone starts cracking. I'd be the last one to crack, because like I'm just thinking like all survival, because that's my type of personality type. Yeah. So I had already like planned in like the first minute of us being stuck there, I was like, okay, I have enough food for myself. I'm not gonna give anyone else like any food. Sorry, sucks to suck. Maybe this one friend of mine, because I really like her.
Just in the corner, like nibbling on a little granola bar.
I'm like, I could probably pee in like a container I have, so that's fine. Like I had already, and then I was like already looking up into like the different like parts of the ceiling. I'm like, okay, which one can I like crack open? What do I have to crack it open? Like
because there is usually an elevator, there is like I
will figure out a way. I'm like, oh geez.
So did it just end up like,
so we called 911 and it was like a whole thing.
Wow.
But
how long were you in there for?
But then it suddenly opened before they got there, because they would have like, and I explained to them in 911 because someone else had called, and I was like, give me that. You're taking too long explaining. I'm like, this is the location. Like, I already knew the address and everything, and I'm like, we're in the northwest side of the parking garage, because there's like I think there's elevators. 4 elevators.
Or at least
there's 2 elevators.
Yeah, there probably is.
But there's like 4 staircases. Yeah. So I was explaining by which staircase we were and stuff like that, because it was a big garage, like
Jessica's
parking garage.
a Jedi. I don't know if you ever seen that movie Men Stare at Goats. When she walks in the room, she knows how many outlets there are. She knows how many lamps there are. She's like, I've seen. She's like,
nothing goes by unnoticed.
She walks in and she's like, there are 15 bulbs in this room right now. I could use any one of these to smash against
I don't know if it's a superpower or it's mental illness in it. So
crazy.
I got claustrophobia, but then I was just like, I'm gonna freaking make it out of this, and then you see someone else like just freezing. That's like the water elements, they just like freeze.
Yeah, because
they're just like
sitting in their own.
I'm too fearful, and then and then my fight or flight kicks in, and it's like, nah, babe, we're getting out of here. Like, I'm not dying here with all y'all.
That's so funny.
So, yep. And then the other story of the claustrophobia is like, I saw this video a few days ago of this like haunted house, and then they put people. I'll try to find the clip of it because I saved it on YouTube to show you.
Yeah.
Oh, actually. This. So it's
I saw that.
It's a suffocation room, and then you like. It's a latex suffocation room, and people like you have to sign a whole waiver before you go into this haunted house.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it could cause death and stuff. It's like crazy.
That's so
it's
scary.
called. Let me see what it's called. It's Spook Show. But they have like these vacuums behind perforated walls, and then they put a latex like thing over people, and then they suffocate them.
And then what happens? And you just gotta get out? Do you escape it, or do they just do it for a minute and then they're like, haha?
I don't know, and it freaks me out. Even if it's like
that. I couldn't do it.
I can't. Would not be able to.
For a long time, I didn't even like if like someone,
because it's like through levels. Like you go through like different levels. I was kind of looking at their other videos. Like there's another one where you like, I don't know. There's just like different levels. I think that's level 17 or something. I don't even like it when someone puts like their leg on my leg and I can't move my legs. Like, for some reason, I like it when you do it. Like, you can lay on me and I don't mind, but I'm like, I used to hate that. Like, I used to be like, I can't move myself. I can't move my leg. I don't like it. Oh, well, yeah. Like, if someone... Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just a simple thing. Like, someone... Like, I can't move my leg because someone else is like...
If someone sits on me...
Yeah, like, you can't move. It freaks me out.
Yeah, but I can also, like, move them out of the way because I'm pretty aggressive. So, like, I'm pretty strong, I'd say. Like...
Sure.
Do you don't think so? Even my brother the other day, he's like, oh, you're curvy. What's happening? And I'm like, yeah, babe, there's muscle under the fat.
That's so funny.
I'm just like, this... I don't know, it's just funny to me.
Anyway.
Okay, what's yours?
Although you did the other day, you I forgot what you're doing. You like grab my leg with your leg, and you're like, I could
snap your fucking twig leg.
I know, it's like Jesus.
But you feel it, right?
Yeah.
Like I put both my like thighs and like freaking press them in, and then he's like,
yeah. I swear every girlfriend I've ever had has said those exact same things. They've said that.
Yeah, pero I'm the strongest.
Every girl.
Yeah, pero I'm the strongest.
You're so funny. Yeah, okay, so next one.
Pero you didn't say it.
Yes. Yeah, you're the strongest lady in the land.
Girlfriend. Strongest girlfriend.
You gotta make me
love me.
This is what I was talking about last week and you did. Alright, so the next thing I'm afraid of, which is kind of also funny, is needles. I hate the way they feel. I hate it. And then
what a joke.
I know.
You're dating an acupuncturist?
Yeah, I'm facing my fears.
Yeah.
But yeah, even when you've done needles like you did.
My needles, okay, but make it sound good for the people because he's done acupuncture, okay?
No,
and it's helped him a lot.
No, it has, and we've talked about it before. Like the auricular one was amazing, and I had issues with my, what's that nerve called again?
Sciatic.
I had some sciatic issues, and I was having some crazy nerve thing. Like my leg was like getting like, it was feeling like it was burning.
And your arm.
Yeah, my arm. I was having all these issues.
All of the things.
And I had her, she did back acupuncture, which was nuts because she did it and she goes in at an angle and then you lay on it. So you lay on the needles.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
I'm like, it's not a typical thing, but it's a specific technique that we learned at my doctorate.
Yeah, no. And I remember I was like freaking out. Like I was like, don't leave, I don't like this. And
you're
I was
fine.
like almost like getting into a manic mode because I was like laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. I was just like, I don't like this. And you're like, it's okay, everything's good. And then you let me chill, and then it was funny. But no, it felt great, and it immediately like helped me because I remember I was having those issues, and I got up after, and I was like, yeah, I feel great. She's also put a needle in my Achilles, which was nuts. That felt wild because I just don't like the feeling. Even getting shots, like I get a shot and just the feeling of like any movement within the, when the needle's in and they like move it at all because they're pressing it, I'm like, It just weirds me out. But as long as I don't see it, I'm
That's
okay.
a lot of people's fears. That's understandable.
Yeah, a lot of my fears
all
are...
of my patients, for the most part, I would say like 90% of my patients are needle phobic.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Like,
There's only a certain percentage of people that do like needles, and that's a whole other story.
that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
No judgment. There's no judgment here, okay?
No, people like what they like. But yeah, it's crazy. So most of my fears are pretty typical.
I think I only have one of my friends is like not needle phobic.
Yeah.
The majority of my friends are needle phobic. I'm needle phobic actually, but I just know that the benefit of acupuncture.
The first time you gave me acupuncture, you did a bunch of them, and the only one I told you to take out was the one right here in the little web area of my thumb and my index finger. I hated it.
Yeah, but
Like
that's
I
really
said,
beneficial one.
I know,
So
I hate
that's
it.
why I'm like,
And it was really painful. And I know you say like, oh, if it's painful and tender, then like that's like, then that's a
it's
point.
a good point.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
you should be doing it. And I was like, can you take that out? I was like,
I'm feeling the angst.
yeah, I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah, if sometimes it like freaks people out more, then I'll do like specific needles that I know won't be as painful and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
some needles you have are like real big, and then some you have that are they're pretty
they're
small.
for like sensitive patients. I have some needles that are for sensitive patients.
Yeah.
Like me. I'm a sensitive patient. Well, so like anything medical related, this is when I'm gonna like talk about it. So
Yeah, she has.
especially things that are like deadly.
Yeah.
So, I'm scared of like specific cancers that have like a really low percentage rate of
Yeah.
recovery,
Which again, that's, I mean,
like full recovery.
I would say that's a lot of people's fears.
Like pancreatic cancer or like lung or liver cancer, those are rough.
yeah.
Yeah, I think or like small cell, that's hardcore. Or like Lyme disease.
Lyme disease, that's
like
a tough
when
one.
you go-
You
like-
get that from like ticks.
Yeah, yo. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like ticks.
Yeah.
See, not my cup of tea. Swimming in murky water, or like
Oh,
any
yeah.
type of like water, and then brain-eating amoebas and things like that.
Which I wasn't really too worried about. Or
Until
didn't-
he started dating me.
yeah, and then because I've always heard about him, but I was like, oh yeah, that's some rare thing. And then the more I looked into it, I was like, oh no, that's like, is it especially in Florida?
No, it could be anywhere.
Could be anywhere.
Like the freaking Amazon is like a host for
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
That makes sense. Like I'm not gonna be going swimming, but like yeah, there's like lakes that people like swimming
so
in.
any
and
type
you-
of parasite, anything.
Yeah.
I just like there was this one woman that we were talking about that she got a freaking parasite in her brain because she
Foraging greens.
She was foraging greens by a lake, and that's why I don't eat watercress. I just don't. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like a lot of watercress is like harvested around lakes.
Yeah.
Just not.
She was foraging greens, and there was a certain type of snake that ate a certain type of thing, and there was probably like feces from the snake, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the snake would eat the thing, and it would have like eggs of this type of worm, and
Yeah.
then it ended up going.
It ended up in her brain.
Yeah, it ended up moving from her stomach to her brain, and then they removed, which I think was like one of the first times they've ever had to do it. They removed a worm from her brain.
Yeah, I don't really know entirely what the whole thing was, but I just know that it was something along the lines of that, and it was like,
That freaks me out.
yeah, I'm used to it because I took parasitology and I know too much.
Yeah.
Or like any type of flesh-eating bacteria, or like cellulitis, things like that.
What's cellulitis? Because I don't know what that is.
I'll look up the technical term for you, so I'm not just doing it injustice.
Because I mean, again, like I feel like fears are something like everyone can relate to. Because like everybody's afraid of something. And, like,
Cellulitis, a common and potential serious bacterial skin infection. Yeah, so it just
Okay.
kind of looks like this.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, you
But
can
it's pretty
get
deadly?
it. There was this one time that I saw that this patient got cellulitis from like a clam or some type of like barnacle, like getting scratched by
Oh,
it or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, and they developed cellulitis.
That's funny. We
And
went
then
to
they
the,
had to get their leg amputated
ugh.
because it was
We
like
went to the beach
progressing too
recently.
quickly.
We went to the beach recently, and I like the waves were intense, and like I kept getting thrown around by the waves, then I was like, oh, I scratched my knee a little bit, and I just saw your face. You're
And I'm like,
that's not good. I was like,
don't get scratches here.
And
Just because it's salt water, it doesn't mean that.
I was like, this
you
happens
can
all the
still
time.
get flesh-eating bacterias and freaking salt water.
Yeah.
So
The water was warm too, which is
it's
not
a very
good thing.
rare. It's a very rare thing. Okay, it's not like it's a common thing, so don't get like overly thing. But I'm just saying that I know all of these potential risks, so I just become.
It's the same reason why you don't eat sushi and stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't eat raw
fish,
sushi, raw fish, raw anything, and I try to like cook my vegetables as well, like just again because you just or like really wash produce well.
Yeah, like salmon too. We were learning about salmon. Salmon can
even like hepatitis, or like even sometimes I don't even want to go out to eat because
you just don't know.
People just don't take like
they have that viral video going around of
about
like
the chilies.
Oh, with like the worms in the chicken. That was crazy. The worst part about that is it looked like he ate like half that sandwich.
I know, that's so sad. And he like it was here. It was recent in South Florida. He like we like
It was crazy. I was reading the comments and some people were like,
by.
"Could someone please tell me what's going on? Because I don't see anything." And I was like, "How do you not see those little things just moving?"
Oh my god, no!
Like, it
was maggots. I think it was maggots.
Yeah, it was maggots. The chicken was rotting.
So it's like,
how do you know?
That kind of, I'm not gonna lie, that turned me off to like eating out recently. So I've been cooking everything and like
we've been eating home cooked meals every single day.
Every single day except today, which whatever. But so all those things, or like I don't like going to specific healthcare doctors, like dentists, because my best friend's dad is a dentist, and he like, don't get me wrong, he's a wonderful person and I love him dearly, but I don't know, sometimes like it's just a little scary to go like to the dentist. It's always been a painful thing for me because like the anesthesia just doesn't like work as well for me. Yeah, you have an issue with anesthesia because you were getting some work done before and like the person wasn't taking it serious when you're saying like I can feel that. They're like, oh, you're fine, and then not at the dentist, somewhere else with a podiatrist. Oh my god, yeah. And they like numbed me a few times or attempted to, and I still felt the entire thing. Oof. And they like, that's another thing. Yeah, the podiatrist. I don't like going to the podiatrist anymore because they removed the entire nail and then they wanted to do it all over again, and I like healed my toenail back to health by like on my own because I was like, not going back. I'm not doing that again. Well, didn't you find out? I mean, I don't know if you could talk about it, but didn't you find out something like they don't get paid unless they do like the full thing, like insurance? Yeah, I don't want to comment on that. Okay. But anyways, but yeah, so or like gynecologists, like it's just it's invasive. I learned it's a very invasive thing, but I also had a really bad experience. Like I went to a gynecologist a few years ago and they weren't very sensitive. And I also learned it's not all gynecologists, like don't get me wrong, or like all dentists. It's just like it's just based off of my own personal experiences. Yeah, but I did watch this one thing about gynecology, and they were talking about this tool that they use to. I don't want to get into too much detail. Oh, but you're talking about a tool that they use, and it was like a pincher with like real sharp edges, and it's just like, it's because like it's like archaic what they're doing. You know what I mean? And like they just think that women can handle it. And like again, I'm not too knowledgeable on the subject, so I don't want to get into too much detail. But when I saw it, like it was like a whole segment that they were doing on a podcast I was linked to, and they were talking about it. I was like, I get it. I see why people would be freaked out. Whatever you find, if you do find it, we'll find it after and we'll put it in there. Tenaculum. Okay. Yeah. Helps hold the cervix. Yeah. When like doing an IUD and stuff like that, but it's like this tool. We'll put a picture up. Just save it so I can do that. This thing, tenaculum. I didn't want to mispronounce it. Oh God, yeah. It looks so painful just looking at it. Like, why wouldn't they have something with like little pillows on the end? I get why maybe they have to do that, but I don't know. And it's painful from what I hear. I am not entirely like certain that you're able to do much about it because. I don't know. I don't know too much about. That's not my level of expertise. We don't have to keep getting into it because I'm also not very knowledgeable on it. I just watched this one thing and they were talking about it and it was intense. So usually when they do that, I think the other procedure that they're doing, like if they're doing a hysteroscopy, which is like taking a sample from the inside the lining of the uterus, usually, or like looking into the uterus.
Yeah.
They use that sometimes, or like putting an IUD. So both of those procedures, like putting in an IUD and doing the hysteroscopy, are generally still painful no matter what. So it's like, I don't know if that the tenaculum or whatever it's called can, you know, like in comparison, like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like they might have to use it. I don't know much about it.
I don't know too much
about it.
about it.
All I know is that like
I'll have to figure out, like I'll have to ask my gynecologist friend, and because I just met a new gynecologist, so she's so nice. She's so nice.
All right, so my next one on here was roaches, but we already talked about that. So it was funny too because I wanted to tell that story, so it worked out. You have the bugs on here. So I'm gonna talk about my last one. You okay?
Sorry.
ADHD.
I was reading some stuff. Okay.
Okay,
go.
yeah. So the last one I have is kind of like demons, right? So like,
why?
well, because I've
I mean, okay, sorry, not to. I didn't mean to laugh, but I just I'm just laughing because I remembered that one meme that I showed you recently. That he's like, all the concerts that we go to nowadays.
Oh yeah, that was so
like,
funny.
All right, you guys.
So we all gonna sell your souls today.
Yeah,
all right,
it's
let's
like
go.
to the gates of hell.
And the kids are
it's
just like demons. Nightmare. All right, yeah. So I do have like a fear of I guess like getting possessed or something. And one of the reasons is a crazy story.
I'm also concerned for you to get possessed.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Which we were actually talking about that today. But one of the reasons is I have a friend who went to India. He's Indian, and he's been there a few times, I believe. And the last time he went, he spent like a month there, and he said he was just hanging out outside, and I'm assuming it was like on, you know, close to like a street or something. And an old man walked up to him, and I'm pretty sure I've told you this story. An old man walked up to him and started crying.
Yeah, you did, but I don't remember.
Yeah, he started crying, and he told him, like, you are possessed. And he just straight up looked in his eyes, and he was like, you're possessed by a demon. And my friend is, like, a very straightforward, like, bro kind of bro. Where he's just,
forgot it.
He was just like, he's like, bro, I don't know, like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
And he basically told him, like, you're possessed by a demon. It's actually the spirit of a child who was in a child gangs. Like, I guess there's like children gangs that were a big thing, and this might have been like, you know, from like ancient gangs or like recent. I don't really know. He didn't tell him, but he's basically saying like there was like these children who would go around and like rob people or like, you know, hurt people and like, you know, whatever. So he told him that, and then my friend was just said he was just standing there like, what the hell? And then his family members, the old man's family members came up, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, like you know, I'm sorry, but he does, like, he's very in tune with spirits and stuff, so yeah, might want to get that checked out. So like instead of just being like, oh, sorry, no, he's crazy, they were just like
egging it on, like, yo, yeah, I mean, you know, he's alright, like, he is right.
He might be onto something, so you might want to get. So ever since
the chances that he's right are pretty likely.
My friend told me that, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a couple weeks after he told me, it had occurred to me, we were like on our way to some restaurant on the beach, and it had occurred to me that, like, I was like, oh man, you know, remember how you said like that someone told you were possessed by a demon? Like, maybe it's protecting you, because like you've had a lot of good luck in your life. You've had like situations that could have been bad, and you've kind of like lucked out. Like, you know, maybe it's not a bad thing. I was basically trying to like talk to him about it and be like, you know, maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's like a spirit, and he's like trying to help you. And we were just driving, and I remember being like, I forgot exactly what I said, but I was like, you know, next time something crazy happens, like, think about that. Like, maybe like it's not the worst thing, because like, you know, it's not like my friend's an evil person. He's super nice, he's very giving, and so I was just trying to, like, you know, reframe it for him, because like I think it's really interesting, and we were talking about it, and then I said something along the lines of like, you know, maybe one day he'll prove it to you, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I was even talking to the demon, like in a sense of, I was like, hey, if you're in there, like, you know, just like take care of my friend, like don't hurt my friend. You know, we were kind of laughing about it. And then 5 minutes later, we pull into the parking space of the restaurant. I go inside to grab the food, and I look outside, and a small box truck, still really big, flips over and slides into the parking lot we were in. Like completely just like flipped over, slid in. Everyone's freaking out. We all run outside, and this lady in a car that was right next to the truck that slid in there, she's just bawling, just hysterically crying, like screaming, crying. And we all go to help the guy because we were like, oh my God, like the driver of the truck, he's, I hope he's okay. And as soon as we're walking up, he's like just crawling out, being like, that was crazy. This guy just freaking cut me off. And he said that someone cut him off and just kept going. And he had flipped, he like lost control and flipped the truck. And then I just looked at my friend. I was like, bro, we just had that conversation. Like we literally just had a conversation about like the demon. Maybe he's protecting you. Maybe he'll. And I was like, I felt almost like it was my fault because I said something like, oh, maybe he'll show us. Like he'll like show, like whatever. Like I forgot exactly what I said, and I tried to frame it in a way that it wouldn't be like, prove yourself. But I was just like, oh, maybe one day you'll realize that like he is protecting you. Like if you don't want to get like.
So what's the consensus? Is he? Because I don't know what that.
Come back next week and we'll find out. we're gonna do an exorcism on. No, so my friend, like I said, my friend's very straightforward, very like just kind of doesn't believe in a lot of that kind of stuff. And he was just like, when I was telling him that, he was just kind of laughing about it. And then when that happened, I mean, he definitely like made him think a little bit more. But that was it, like that happened. And to me, that was proof. That was all I needed. I was like, nah, like. That demon, or I don't want to call him demon. I'm gonna start calling it spirit because like we don't, what I mean. I feel like demon is a very strong.
We shouldn't judge.
Yeah, but that was like almost
as
like
our roommate comes in right now. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it was almost like proof that something was like attached to him, or like there was like something better. You're a little out of frame.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. But yeah. So
what do you think? You think he is possessed?
I don't really want to comment on it because I don't know, but
no, I'm just kidding. I wasn't expecting you to
take it all serious.
It's like, I don't know, man. Let's see. These are the facts.
But honestly, like in my opinion, I do think that like that is possible. I do believe in ghosts, and that's kind of like what I wanted to ask you. Like, do you believe in ghosts? Or like spirits?
It's tough because it's like to a certain extent I do, and then to a certain extent I don't, because it's like I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm just like I just don't really like. I run this way and then they run this way, and then I just like we just never meet up, But
well, that's
like,
something that if you're not open to it, I feel like
I believe in it for other people, but it's just like it's not like a my thing,
It's a future Jessica problem.
It's a future Jessica problem, and I hope it's not ever a future Jessica problem because like straight up.
Well, for me, I feel like I do kind of believe in ghosts and spirits and stuff, but I do
believe like in the spiritual sense of like some type of energy, something like that's It's difficult to explain.
I don't know if I believe in like the traditional sense of like ghosts or like demons and spirits and heaven and hell and stuff. I'm not sure what I believe in. I do believe in like energy and the spiritual world, but I do feel like
I think I'm just more scientific about it. You know what I'm saying? Of course,
yeah. No, for a long time I was atheist, and I was just like, I used to be so avid about like when you die you go to sleep. That's it. You know what I mean? There's nothing else. Yeah. There's nothing special about it. Like in the sense of like there's nothing after that. Like I just believed in science wholeheartedly. And now I'm a little bit more like open to different ideas. So I don't really know what I believe in, but I'm open to anything. I love reading about it.
I'm just such a logical person, so it's just difficult. Like I am very spiritual because I practice qigong, and like anytime that I do practice qigong, I do feel like okay, I'm more energized, and like there is definitely, but I think it's just more of like a matter type of way. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
no, I feel
like
you.
The physics and the
energy and
chemistry and like all of that stuff, it just makes sense to me. So if I can't like make sense of it, sometimes it's a little difficult for me to like get behind it. So that's why a lot of people are like surprised that I went into Chinese medicine, because they're like, isn't that woo woo? And it's like, nah, babe. There's a lot of science to it. Yeah. So that's kind of what got me like
years,
involved.
Hundreds of years of research, or thousands of years.
Well, the medicine's been around for 5,000 years.
Yeah, 5,000.
But there's a lot of like studies.
What I'm saying about research is like
research at least. I don't even know when we started doing research, because they were kind of like doing research in finding out the medicine throughout. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
I'm
So
talking
it's
about
like,
that, like even in practice,
but
like
actual research, like medical research.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot of medical research.
Yeah, and there's some people that don't believe anything unless it's like been proven. There's scientific
but
journals.
it has been proven. Like acupuncture has been proven.
Yeah,
just so you know.
Watch that documentary, and I feel like anyone would, like, if they have family members or anything that are suffering from something, they would want to try acupuncture.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, you can actually like allow it to correlate to like actual anatomy and how nerve endings go and like pathways and like certain processes. Like, you can make sense of it. But for example, like, I do kind of believe on the spiritual realm to a certain extent. I just haven't had a whole lot of, like, I don't know if it's because I believe that I have like a very strong shield.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of that, because it hasn't like affected me in any way.
Well, no, I feel you. And there's like our friend, she was telling us like some ghost stories and stuff.
It's like I have other issues.
Yeah. Well,
that are bigger than like any fucking spirit that tries to mess with me. Okay, it's like I'm taking boards. Okay,
I don't
like
have time for that.
I don't have time to entertain your little show. Okay, so
boo to you.
It's like, you think you're scared? Try to take boards.
Yeah,
okay?
try to take some boards. Try to study
go to school for forever. Okay.
But yeah,
like,
so
it makes everything else so insignificant. I'm like, I don't see anything. Like,
what I wanted to end it on was like that. Basically, was like, I feel like because I do believe in that stuff to a certain degree, but I feel like the more you believe and the more you open yourself up to it, the more there's a possibility that you're gonna see
I
things,
do believe
and
that
you're gonna be like, you could be affected by them because like your brain is already open to it. You're now seeing like more into it. So
I do believe that.
It's almost like when my friend
it's
was,
like you have a propensity for seeing certain things or like patterns or just things in general.
Yeah,
if
of course. The same way, like, you get a car, next thing you know, you see so many of those cars around. You're like, why did everyone buy the same cars as me? And it's like, no, they were always there. You're just now looking for them.
Exactly.
So, like, if you're looking for ghosts, then you're going to feel and see ghosts everywhere you go. Or if you're more in tune with spirits and really into spirits.
There's a lot of my colleagues that do that, though. Yeah. They, like, specifically treat, like, possessions and things like that. And I'm just over here, like, I'd rather treat, like, some neck pain. Pain and, like, I don't know, some face stuff, like keeping you young and stuff. So meanwhile, like, I have some, I have a professor that literally treats that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's called, like, in Chinese medicine, internal and external demons. I mean, or dragons.
Okay.
Internal or external demons or dragons, like, they're exchangeable.
Oh, they're interchangeable.
So there is, like, a whole, like, realm of Chinese medicine that's, like, very much dedicated to dealing with, like, spirits and, like, ghosts and things like that. And I'm just over here, like, I mean, it's I can see, like, I've seen what someone looks like
when they're possessed.
When they're like,
we had a waiter once, and you're like, he's possessed, and I was like,
like, legit though, but like,
I was like, he seems pretty nice, and you're like, no, he's pretty.
Nah, I can spot that out, and I just
you're like, look at his eyes, and then when I look, I was like, you're kind of right. He does have like a weird. He wouldn't look at us in the eye. He would like. It's very.
It's
weird.
a specific type of look, okay, and sometimes it's a smell.
Yeah.
Like, some people, like, they smell like a specific, like, it's I can't explain it.
So interesting.
But and I'm going based off of, like, what that professor told me. So it's not like
you're just like,
I just know to, like, steer clear of it. I'm like, I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, you're not
and
a
I'm
spirit.
gonna go this way.
You're not
you know
a
what I'm
spirit
saying?
sniffing dog.
Yeah, like, I'm just gonna send all
can you
those.
Come over here?
I'm just gonna send all those
issues.
And no judgment. Whatever, things happen to us. Like, some people have, like, parasitic infections. Some people have, like,
spiritual
others possessions.
Someone have box truck flipping demons who
exactly. So it's like,
keep them safe.
No judgment. But
also, when that happened, really quick, no one got hurt. No one got hurt. There was all this traffic. He flipped, went into the parking lot. He was fine. I think he was like, had a little cut on him or whatever, but he was totally fine, was standing up, and no one got hurt. And it was even more to my point of, like, that spirit, whatever is attached to my friend, was just basically being like, yep, look what I can do. Like, a child would, almost like something a child would do, would be like, I'm going to flip this truck just to, like, prove to them, because I had literally just said something about it. It freaked me out. But anyway, we're going to leave it off at that. And I think next week we're going to talk about kind of more along those lines.
Oh, I forgot to talk about my fear of sun exposure. I hate it. I like wear sunscreen because I hate it. And I've always, and also because like the anti-aging aspect, like I just,
Yeah.
Okay, now we can finish.
Well,
now that I've talked about my fear of aging. Oh yeah, that's another thing. When I was younger, just quick story, hold on. When I was younger, dude.
it's okay.
When I was younger, I remember I was like 4, and it's one of my like earliest memories. My parents took me to like this tatarabuela, which is like kind of like great grandma technically, and homegirl was still alive and like thriving and kicking in like 90 something years old. And I remember like
That's what I want to do. I want to be like that.
one time like we went and visited her, and then the entire ride back home, like it was like 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that, I was just bawling hysterically because I was like, Mom, I never want to look like that ever again. And
Yeah,
I was a child.
I remember you were saying you were like scared of old people.
I was so scared of old people, which is so funny because it's just my fear of aging. But that's just me. And that's why I'm doing aesthetics acupuncture. Yeah, come to me
when you're licensed.
when I'm licensed.
All right. Well, it was a joy talking to you. It was absolutely amazing.
Absolutely wonderful.
I appreciate anyone that watches and listens. We're gonna have our podcast up on like audio stuff soon.
Oh my god, we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna be setting that up. But for the most part, I like the visual aspect because I like the visual aspect
to
see you guys.
because you see my cara, you see my crazy faces.
So what do we say at the end?
And the worst part is that like the faces are just all the time. It's not even for the freaking podcast, but at least you guys get.
Yeah, she's this extra all the time. Well,
what?
It was
this
nice.
What?
This extra all the time.
Oh, I thought you said something else. So I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
We're airing things out.
Bueno, que te vaya bien.
Que te vaya bien.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.